Thoughts on Tua injury? Yeah, something we're going to be discussing pretty much at the beginning of the stream. One of, if not the biggest injury, biggest story that we've had in the NFL this season. So, gonna hit on that pretty much first. What are your thoughts on the Tua injury? Guys' thoughts on the Tua injury? Drop them in the chat right here. Let me know what you think, or you can wait until we actually talk about it. Whatever you want. Very bad for fantasy, yeah. People, anyone who drafted him, very bad for fantasy. Um, yeah, I would say quarterbacks over the past couple weeks have not really been doing that well in fantasy. I mean, we have outliers, and then the quarterbacks who are supposed to be doing good aren't doing that well in fantasy. It's a little strange, I think. Very bad. Oh, you're cooked. Oh, that's not good. Did you draft? Did you draft Tua? Guess I'm going to have to get. Whoa there, sir. You cannot be giving away the greatest wide receiver that has ever touched the football. You cannot be giving away the greatest wide receiver to ever play the game. Devontae Lavelle Adams is a true master of football, and you cannot give him away. No matter the situation, no matter the nothing. Jerry Rice? Okay. Now that Now that's something I gotta think about. Do I want to? Well, would I recommend you to draft Jerry Rice in this season's fantasy? The answer to that, no. Why? Because he's not playing football. How many fantasy points is he gonna get you? Zero. Will you find him in a fantasy draft? No. Those are my Jerry Rice. He's better. Whoa, Jerry Rice. Okay, I understand what you're saying now. You're trying to tell me that Jerry Rice is better than Devontae Adams. The answer to that, um, my answer to that would be absolutely not. Jerry Rice, no. I don't know about that. Okay, one sec. We're gonna go ahead and start. Let's start at 4:15. Just trying to get these last couple people on. We're gonna start. Hopefully, we can get about 10, 15 people on here before we start. But whatever it is, by 4:15, we'll go ahead and begin. Jerry Rice, he's better. Um, Andrew Kemp says yes, he's better. Andrew Kemp, I'm sorry, that is not correct. Um, that's my personal opinion. Your opinion may be different. That Jerry Rice is better, but actually, it's Devontae. I'm I'm gonna have to stick to my assertion that Devontae is the true master of the wide receiver position. Let's see. Do you believe that Rashid Rice should be playing after his arrest and obvious breaking of the law? Okay. Well, first of all, let me phrase that a little differently because that is a bit of a biased statement. Although, based on most evidence, we have seen that Jerry Rice did break the law. He did get arrested. Um, I would say that. So I don't know the exact details of what happened. I would say first of all, it depends on the situation. I don't know the exact situation, so I can't. I don't think I'm at authority to say that. It also depends on the rules of the NFL and and um, and I think how severe it is based on the rules of the NFL. What's your opinion? Board on the toilet. What's your opinion? Do you think Rasheed Rice should be playing after his arrest and obvious breaking of the law, as you say? All right, hold on just a second. Let's go ahead and do that. Then, alrighty. Think we are going to go ahead and get started here. The Purple Man, what's up, bro? I'm great. How are you today? I am doing well. All right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So, I've got a couple things for us. I've got a couple things prepared for today. So, here's what I found. Let me know what you think. Which they already get a lot of hate. We don't need people hating on us. Are you talking about the Chiefs? Oh my goodness. Are you a Chiefs fan? Bored on the toilet. Are you a Chiefs fan? All right, let's go ahead and check this out. Let's go ahead and let's see. All right, guys, watch this right here. I have prepared this. First, first, I have this fantastic guy over here who I can zoom in on and zoom out of. Look at that. Zoom in, zoom out. I can twist him around, do whatever I want over here, and look at, and I can also go over here and search whatever I want. So if I wanted to find, let's say, the right frontalis muscle. Okay, let's see. Do I have to like search it in here? Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay. Boom, right there. Bang. See that? And I can do whatever I want. So this is what we can use if we want to look at where someone might have gotten injured. Really gonna enjoy that. Now then, let me check. How do I switch the tab over here? Let me know what you guys think. Oh, screen is black. All right. Let's see. Is it working right now? Should be working. Should be able to see it. All right. Let's see. Um, you guys can see it. Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Can you see me twisting it over here? Today's really going to be sort of our first live stream, experimenting around, seeing what's going to work, what's not going to work. And we'll go from there for our next week live stream. Yes, we can. It's all good now. Cool. All right. So that was the first thing I want to show you guys. Second thing um, is this. So I have the injury report pulled up here. If we want to go through some injuries together, let me see. Alrighty, right here. And so we can look at really any game over here. Yeah, it's gonna be black for a little bit. It's gonna take a second. It might take a second to actually work. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we can go through, look at whatever is needed over here. Um, so if we want to look at this Packers versus Titans game, look at Jordan Love, who we'll talk about probably second after Tua, because that was another huge injury. Or if you guys are more intent to hear about a different thing, we can also do that. Just gonna kind of see how we want to do things today. All right, so yeah, but I can go around, see what injuries we have. Now let's go ahead and stop that. All right, and then the third thing that I have is this NFL depth charts for all 32 teams. Once we look at an injury, we can go over to these depth charts. Oops, I keep forgetting to stop switching the tab. There we go. Okay, so the NFL depth charts over here. I can go in. Let's say we want to talk about, I don't know. We'll probably talk about Joe Mixon's ankle injury, I believe. We'll talk about that a little later. And we can go into the Houston Texans depth chart right here. See that Joe Mixon's out. Dameon Pierce is out. That means Cam Akers is going to be their starter. crazy how um Cam Akers was a starter for the Rams so recently, and now third string. Crazy how it can go in the NFL. Anyway, yeah, so we can see Cam Akers is going to be the starter this week, and so maybe you start Cam Akers in fantasy or something like that. But yeah, that's essentially the point of the depth charts there. All right. So without further ado, Daniel Ford says, "Show us what's up." Yes, we are gonna talk about what's up. Chicken Man says, "Yeah." All right. So great. All right. Um, let's go ahead and begin. And first and foremost, what are we going to talk about here? Yes, we are going to be discussing first Tua Tagovailoa's concussion. That's what we're going to be talking about first. Tua Tagovailoa's concussion. That is a that now that injury. Now that injury. Fourth concussion in just 3 years. Fourth concussion in 3 years. That was one of the craziest things. This is one of the craziest stories we have ever seen in the NFL. Four concussions in 3 years. Looking at a potential retirement for Tua, he has noted that he does not want to retire, but you do have to be a little worried about it, right? You can't go around saying Mike is too close right here. Alrighty, better. Let me know what you guys think. All right. We'll go ahead and continue. Let me know if this still is a little too close. So, so we're talking about the Tua injury, right? Um, the thing to remember is four concussions. The the level of risk that one has after sustaining four concussions, four severe traumatic brain injuries in such a small period of time is through the roof, right? You have an extreme risk now for chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is it's a neurodegenerative disease that can affect NFL players in the long term due to their repeated head collisions. And we can actually look at a quick picture of what a CTE brain looks like in comparison to a normal brain, because very interesting. You can see right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Yeah. So over here you can see you have the normal brain over there, and the normal brain you can see like it's a little pinkish around here. Blood flow is nice. It's you can see the white matter here and the gray matter around the outsides. In the CTE brain, the gaps right here in the middle are huge. The holes are huge, and you can see that a lot of the brain matter has gone away. And essentially the brain becomes smaller. The actual brain matter, there's a loss of actual brain matter, and of course that can lead to early Alzheimer's, dementia, mood problems, uh, various stress disorders. It's very bad. Um, Having CTE, and for Tua, due to the fact that he sustained four concussions, not only is his risk of CTE through the roof, it's also his risk of to get CTE at a younger age is also increased. So Tua not only will likely get CTE, he's probably going to have to live a longer period of his life with it. And the only way to really stop what's going on right now with all of this is for him to retire. And that's why I personally believe that the best thing that he can do in this situation is retire, because at this point, one more concussion and it's his entire life could be at stake. If you guys want to hear a little bit more about this, you can check out um, my video on YouTube. I actually did a little video about Tua's injury in particular, and a lot of other people have also talked about this injury, because it is such a critical and important thing that's going on in the NFL right now. So there it is in the chat. Um, yeah. What do you guys think? What's your opinion? Do you think Tua should retire? Let me hear. Let me hear from you guys. Tell me. I'll start another thing right here. Go ahead and vote should Tua retire, because um yeah, this is this is something that is a little bit debated in the NFL right now. But most medical experts are recommending that he retire just because of the risk that is now carried for CT that he now carries for CTE. So go ahead and either fill in the poll, or type something in the chat, with your opinion on Tua's injury. Definitely, definitely not great. Feel really bad for him. He has said recently that he is going to he plans to continue playing. I mean, of course, can't can't say anything about that. It's his choice, whatever he chooses to do. But the danger that will come if he continues playing, due to the risk that he already has, is very, very high. Yeah. So he has been placed on IR by the Dolphins, so he definitely won't be playing for the next at least 4 games. Um, he'll be traveling with them though to their next week game. I actually forget, who do they play next week. That is a good question right there. Who do the Dolphins play? They play the Seahawks. That's it. Seahawks. Tempest says, "Sup, my classmates? How are you doing? I hopped on like I said I would. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that." All right. So that is really the gist of Tua's injury. The fact that he sustained 4 concussions in such a short period of time, um, it puts his risk of long-term health issues like CTE at a very extremely high, and um, the risk of concussion after sustaining so many concussions in a row is also increased. So for him to continue playing, not only is he more likely now to sustain another concussion to in further increase that risk of CTE, he already has a high risk of long-term health issues in the first place. And living with CTE is a terrible, terrible predicament to be in. So my opinion is that he should pack it up. He already has a ton of money, more than of the amount of money that he has right now that NFL players have just within their first couple of years is crazy. So he has more than enough to last him, and he can take on various other jobs within football, reporting, analyzing, anything like that. You see a lot of former NFL players doing that. So he has a lot of opportunities for him if he chooses to retire, which I personally think is the best choice. Sonic Story Player says, "Hi Vihan, what's up with CMAC? Christian McCaffrey." Yes, Christian McCaffrey. All right. So Christian McCaffrey, the whole situation, we'll talk about him right now actually. Let's move to that 49ers Rams game this week, because that is the amount of injuries in that game is actually is insane. I mean, you have Debo out, George Kittle out for the 49ers, and of course Christian McCaffrey. And for the Rams, you have Cooper Kupp out, Puka Nakua out. Who else do we have out? Let's go ahead and take a look. Um, Let's see. 49ers at Rams. Who do we have out over here? We've got Debo Samuel out, George Kittle out, Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward. Um, I mean, he's listed as injury. I think he's. They're having him play this week, and Nick Bosa is questionable. I mean, you have four players right there, four star players on your team right there that are out. Rams side, you got Cooper Kupp out. You got Puka Nakua out for the next 5 to 7 weeks. It's not listed here. I think it's because his injury. People already know he's going to be out for a while. Davis Allen out, Joshua Carty, Bobby Brown. So yeah, so let's go ahead and start on the 49ers side. We can start with Christian McCaffrey. So Christian McCaffrey, like I was saying, the whole situation with Christian McCaffrey is just crazy, right? Um, Christian McCaffrey has been dealing with some calf or ankle problems. And the 49ers at the beginning of the year, right? So they that situation, if you play fantasy, you'll probably be particularly familiar with it. Um, McCaffrey was placed on injured reserve on September 14th, right? Um, however, September 14th was exactly a week before today, right? So they placed him on injured reserve one day before the week 2 game. And before the season, they said the season, by the way, started on what day was that? September 8th? No, September 8th was the first Sunday, sorry. But that was Christian McCaffrey's first game. The season actually started on that Thursday, which would have been September 5th. Yes. So, anyway, Christian McCaffrey, September 8th, first 49ers game. 49ers are playing the Jets. And the 49ers swear that that Christian McCaffrey is going to play. But the issue is that Christian McCaffrey, they already knew that Christian McCaffrey was going to be out due to the calf and ankle problems that he was struggling with, and they did not reveal that until the Saturday before, right? Which I believe goes against what the NFL says. You have to declare a player out a certain amount of, or no, they didn't, or sorry, I don't know what I was saying. You have to declare a person out a certain amount of time before the game, especially if you know they're going to be out. So I think the NFL requires it like one day before. I'm not exactly sure about the regulation. So they should have declared it that at latest that Saturday before if they knew he was going to be out. I believe. Um, however, they didn't say that he was going to be out until 1 hour before the game, right? Wait, did the 49ers play? Oh, wait, I might be completely wrong here. Sorry, no, they played on Monday. They played on Monday night. That's my bad. They played on Monday night. So the 49ers should have said something, I think, Sunday. But they didn't say it until 1 hour before the game. So that's around like 6 p.m., 6:15 p.m. on Monday night when the game starts at 7:15 p.m. I didn't say anything until 1 hour before. They said Christian McCaffrey's not going to play this game. They started Jordan Mason, and Christian McCaffrey on IR 1 week later, right? So they knew that Christian McCaffrey likely wasn't going to play. I mean, you don't just go from 100% going to play to on IR if you're not if you haven't sustained any big injuries in that time period, if you know what I'm saying. Um, so the 49ers really mismanaged this whole situation, and I think the NFL is looking into it, looking into see what needs to be done over here. But for now, Christian McCaffrey is out for the next couple of weeks. Um, let's see. So Christian McCaffrey. So we're gonna go ahead and now probably look at Christian McCaffrey's the exact details surrounding Christian McCaffrey's injury. Let's quickly look at the chat here, though. Tony Pepperoni says, Vihan, what do you think of Diddy finally getting arrested? Okay, Tony Pepperoni. Um, I do not have an opinion about this for two reasons. Number one, I don't know who Diddy is. Number two, I gotta keep it sports medicine related because we can. I'm going to. My guess is that Diddy is a rapper or a singer of some kind. But we got to we're gonna go ahead and keep it with the NFL injury report and the fantasy. Also, because I don't know who Diddy is. Okay, moving right along. Sebastian says trade Devonte Adams, Ridley, and Jalen Warren for Nico and Terry McLaurin, full PPR. Um, I would say Terry McLaurin is just not going to do anything on that Washington Commanders offense, especially because they're keeping it with that short passing game. So I would say the real trade here, and Ridley and Jalen Warren, I mean, they're also Ridley could do great one week, could do terrible the next week. The Titans is bottom five offense in the NFL, so it's hard to say in that terms. So you're really looking at Devontae versus Nico Collins. I mean, Devontae had a great week this past week, but the Raiders' offense isn't that great. So purely logical, purely for a logical standpoint, I would say you win that trade if you get Nico and Terry McLaurin solely because you're getting Nico Collins, and Nico Collins is a great fantasy wide receiver, especially start of season, where you don't care that much about wide receiver depth. So yeah, I might take that trade, but it's really your choice. You might wait another week, see how Devontae does this weekend. I mean, hopefully he does well because they're playing the Panthers, and the Panthers have proven themselves to be a terrible, 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 terrible team right now. Um, and yeah, so I would wait one or two more weeks. If you want to, you could take it right now. It's up to you. Um, Naveen Chaudhry says, who did the 49ers play on Monday and did they complain? The 49ers played the Jets on that Monday. The Jets, I actually don't know if the Jets did complain about that. Let's see. I don't think the Jets actually made too much of a fuss about that. I think we would have heard a little bit more if they did. So I'm gonna say for now that they probably didn't make too much. Renato Games says, "Greetings from Brazil." Yes, we're going international now. Great to have you here. Tony Pepperoni says, "Sorry, just wanted to know what you thought of current topics. I will keep it sports medicine related from here on." No problem, no problem. I was joking around with you. I don't know who Diddy is, but um, now I know that he got arrested. Um, Naveen Chaudhry says, "Well played, my friend." Thank you, thank you. Um, yes, one of my theme songs could be Triple H "Time to Play the Game" because I truly play the game well. Um, Tony Pepperoni, do you think the Chiefs have a run at the playoffs this year? Under Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to say that they don't, especially because now they're already 2-0. So I would say 100% they have a run at the playoffs this year. I would also say that they're probably favored right now to win the Super Bowl. So there you go. Sebastian says Dobbins and Ridley for DJ Moore. Um, Definitely not. I would not trade J.K. Dobbins right now, especially because um, DJ Moore has not been um, playing that well over the past couple of weeks, especially because Caleb Williams is getting still trying to get that offense moving. He hasn't even thrown a touchdown yet. J.K. Dobbins has been playing fantastically over the past 2 weeks, leading that Chargers run game. So I would keep Dobbins and start Dobbins if you can. So okay, so let's go ahead now. We talked about Tua's injury. Let's talk about another big one that is Jordan Love. We're gonna talk about Jordan Love really quick, and then we'll come back and finish up that 49ers Rams game. But I do want to hit on Jordan Love since we talked about Tua and Christian McCaffrey. Just quickly hit on Jordan Love, and then we'll come back to that. So I'll go back over here and show you guys. So Jordan Love, very interesting because he had um, a grade 2 sprain of his MCL, right? Oh, and by the way, I also made a video about this. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and check out that video. I made a video regarding Jordan Love's injury, and also fun fact right here. Are you, are you ready for this fun fact? I predicted Jordan Love's injury. That, and I have video proof. I put it in my video. I have proof that I predicted it. I have image proof, timestamped proof. Okay? I predicted Jordan Love's injury 2 minutes after he got it. 2 minutes after he sustained that injury, I knew exactly what it was. Okay? So you might as well call me the predictor. I don't know what you want to call me. You can call me whatever you want, but the predictor would be a name that really fits what I'm doing here right now, changing the game over here with these predictions. There you go. If you guys want to check out that video, you can check it out right there. Um, yes, Vihan the prophet says Tony Pepperoni. That's correct. I am a seer. I am a prophet. I am a psychic, predictor, whatever you want to call me. Okay. Jake Garlook says, which side of this trade are you on? Devontae Adams and Jerome Ford for Jamar Chase. 100%. Actually, no. Got to think about that here. It depends on how good your running backs are. Jerome Ford had a terrible week last week. People are going crazy because Deontay Foreman got quite a few carries. Jerome Ford is still their third down back, so he definitely can get you some fantasy points over the next few weeks. Devontae Adams, um, with Brock Bowers, is going to lead that Raiders offense, depending on how well they do. Jamar Chase, the Bengals offense does not look good, to be honest, right now. So I would keep Devontae Adams and Jerome Ford at this point in time. Um, okay, last one. Okay, so all right, last thing we're going to answer, and then we're going to move to Jordan Love's injury. Okay, last one, sorry. Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and A.J. Brown for Dobbins, MHJ, and Devontae Adams. Okay, now this is a difficult thing to say. I would keep who you have right now with Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and ooh, I don't know. I think that could go either way. It depends on whether you would prefer. It depends on who's on your bench. Do you have a better running back on your, because you're trading away a running back, Josh Jacobs, for Marvin Harrison, and I think Marvin Harrison is the better of the two in that trade. So it depends. Do you have better running backs on your bench right now? If you do, keep what you have. Otherwise, trade. Okay, moving right along. Let's um let's go ahead and talk about Jordan Love's injury really quickly. Okay, so Jordan Love, right? He sprained his MCL. Go check out that video if you want to learn more and also see how I predicted it. Um, yeah, so he sprained his MCL against the Eagles, and I mean you can see during the tackle he might have also sustained a high ankle sprain, very minor, because they say that he didn't, but from the pain that he was showing around that area afterward, it's possible that he sustained something a little very minor. But the main thing that we're talking about is the MCL injury. So what we're gonna do really quick is we're gonna go over here to okay, here we go. We're gonna go over here to this, and we're gonna check out the MCL. So let's go over here. Let's see if they have it. MCL. No, it might be in connective tissue systems. No, that's not going to work out. Let's see. Skeletal system. I don't know. Medial. Oopsie, sorry. Gonna work out. Muscle, skeleton, bones of lower limb. It may not be in here. Okay. Um, that's okay. Okay. Naveen Chaudhary says, since you're the prophet, can you make some predictions for this week, please? Yes, we will do that in just a little bit. We'll do that in a little bit, but let's finish up this Jordan Love injury and also that 49ers Rams game. Um, James says Harrison is miles better. Never trade that. What's up, Vihan? Vihan, I love you. Okay, yes, all of those statements are correct. Okay, so if you can, you guys see right over here. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and look at where is the MCL. So Jordan Love, I believe he sustained an injury to his left MCL. Let's see. Okay, I'm actually not I actually don't remember exactly, but let's assume that it's his left. So either way, the MCLs connect connect the femur bone which is your thigh bone over here. I can't zoom out a little bit. Gotta figure out how this works. Okay, the MCL connect the femur bone. Let's see if it has it in here. Bones of lower limb, bones of left lower limb, left femur. Okay, you can see it's highlighted in blue there, right? And then the MCL is a ligament right here on the inside of the knee, right there on the inside of the knee that connects the femur bone, which is this bone right here, to your tibia bone, which is going to be the main bone right here. Okay. The fibula is also there, but let's just focus on these two. So this one is going to kind of come down on the inside of the knee and connect them there. And the same thing over here. So you have the femur up here, tibia down here. MCL is going to be on the inside of the knee, connecting them there. So to give you guys a little bit of a clearer picture of what I'm talking about over here, let's go ahead and look up MCL diagram. Yeah. So the knee is made up of 4 ligaments. Those are the ACL, PCL, MCL, and LCL. MCL is on the inside of the knee. You can see the femur bone. Oh, actually, you can't see anything because I forgot to share my screen. That's my bad. Okay, we're still trying to figure out how we want to do things over here. Okay, so really quick, we got the diagram of the knee over here. Can you guys see it? Okay. Yeah, you can see the MCL right there on the inside of the knee, connecting the femur to the tibia there. That so the MCL, that's your medial collateral ligament. You have the LCL, that's your lateral collateral ligament. Um, so you have medial means inside, collateral ligament lateral connects the femur up there to the fibula. You can see that. That comes around that's the bone along with the tibia. It goes down the outside of your lower leg. Then you have the ACL and the PCL, which make a crisscross pattern here in the middle. ACL is the anterior cruciate, PCL is the posterior cruciate. Anyway, so we're focusing on the MCL here. Jordan Love sustained a grade 2 tear to his MCL. That means a partial tear to his MCL, right? And so he should be out until week 5 for a proper recovery. Um, if everything they said was right, right? He should be out until week 5 if they want him to have a proper recovery. But the, in the NFL, do they care more about player health or do they care more about um, do they care more about player health or do they care more about winning? And the answer to that, of course, is winning, right? And so unless you look out for yourself in the NFL, you can get hurt pretty quick if they try to bring you in too quickly, right? I know a lot of players want to be playing on the field, otherwise they wouldn't be playing football. They want to be on that field and they work hard to get back in, but you should never go into a game before fully recovering. So it's important to make sure that you're fully recovered before you go in. And right now, Jordan Love is listed as questionable for this week's game. They're saying he's limited at practice right now. He's been limited at practice for the past couple of days. He was not practicing last week, of course. And now they're saying, okay, guys, we're listing him as questionable. Maybe he can play this week if we rush him into it. He was supposed to be out, mind you, for 3 to 4 weeks for a proper recovery from that grade 2 partial tear of his ligament, of his MCL. Okay? And now they're saying we're trying to bring him back in for this week. This is week 3. 2 weeks early, right? 2 weeks early. He should be out until week 5 to make sure that he is fully recovered, that everything is healing up nicely. Week 3, 2 weeks after sustaining a grade 2 MCL injury is extremely quick. You can't bring a player back into a game that fast. That's extremely bad for the player's health. And so if you look over here, um, look at what they're saying right over here. I mean, it's just see if this works now. All right. Yeah. So Love, who was initially slated to miss at least 2 weeks, could be out just one game if he's able to suit up on Sunday. Love was limited all week during practice after missing last Sunday's win over the Colts. Love will be a game time decision. What are we doing here? He's not a game time decision. You need to keep him out. You need to keep him out, let him fully recover. Right? So this is the issue with this injury, right? So he has an MCL injury, partial tear of the MCL, grade 2 tear. It normally takes about 3 to 5 weeks to recover. I don't think it was on the more severe side of the grade 2. I think it was on the lighter side. So it could take, th- like earliest it could take 3 weeks. So earliest he might have been able to play next week, week 4, when they initially diagnosed him. But now they're saying we're gonna try to bring him back week 3. We're going to try to have him play against the Titans. The Titans are a bottom 5 team in the NFL, okay? First of all, first of all, Love should be out, right? He should have his time to recover. You need to focus on the health of the player. Second of all, if you are focused on winning, the Titans are a bottom 5 team. You just beat the Colts, who are better than the Titans for sure, okay? The Titans are not as big of a threat as the Colts were, and the Packers beat the Colts by a full score, by a touchdown, by 6 points. Okay, so winning wise, this shouldn't be too hard of a game. And secondly, Love should be allowed to recover. So that's the main issue with Jordan Love's injury. Now let's go ahead and go back to that 49ers Rams game. Let's go ahead and take a look at that again. In the meantime, Naveen Chaudhary says, so do you predict a re-injury for Love this week if they put him in the game? It's hard to say. It depends on how he gets tackled, what kind of tackles he sustains. But I definitely think there's a much higher chance of him getting re-injured this week than would be if they wait a little bit. And yes. Naveen says knee. Yes, it would be probably another knee injury. Tony Pepperoni says, aside from the ankle, what would you say is the most common place for an injury? I mean, I don't know if I can really say that. It just depends. First of all, it depends on the sport. It also depends on your position in that sport. It depends on um, the circumstances, like how you get tackled. Different types of tackles correspond with different types of injuries. Like one tackle may correspond with an ankle injury. Another one, it depends on the position of those players in that exact moment. So it's hard to say. What would you say is the most common place for an injury aside from the ankle? And I don't even know if I would say that I mean the ankle of course is a common place for injury. So there are some places more common than others, like ankle, especially in sports like football, basketball, ankle, knee, shoulder. And shoulder could come with either a fracture or some kind of rotator cuff, sprain or tear. So I would say those are the more common injuries there. But yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, it's more common than I don't know sustaining like spinal cord um, rupture, which would paralyze you most likely. Um, Actually, that actually did happen once in the NFL. It's a very famous injury. I forget who sustained it, but he was like if he's standing like this, this is his head, this is his bottom, his whole body is his head and his back flipped like that, and his spine cracked in the middle, and he was never able to play again. It was really, really terrible injury. I forget who that was. I'll look it up right now. Um, who was that? Don't remember. I know it was a Bears player as well. Johnny Knox. That's the guy. Johnny Knox. Um, I actually don't know if he was paralyzed, but he was definitely very severely injured and he had to retire right after that. Sebastian says Ridley and Dobbins for DK Metcalf. Oh no, no, no! You keep Dobbins. You keep Dobbins right now because DK Metcalf is no, 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 no. That Seahawks offense, it's split between Metcalf and JSN right now, and you also have Tyler Lockett who they might throw to. So I would definitely not trade for DK Metcalf. He had one good game in week 2. If you have DK Metcalf, sell him high, trade him for someone really good because people are, of course, they're all very reactionary. Looking at week 2, he had a great game. Probably not going to have a game like that very often in the future. I would keep Dobbins for now. Don't trade him for DK Metcalf right now. Anuja Java says, wouldn't concussion be more common? It depends. I would say it definitely depends on the circumstances again. I mean, concussions are common, but like it depends on your position. How often are you going to get into a concussion, right? So an offensive lineman obviously won't be as at risk for concussion as would a running back who's going to be in contact essentially every play. Um, yeah, so it just depends on your position, depends on the circumstances of the game. Um, Katwe says, "OMG, awesome live stream. Thank you for tuning in." Nuja says possibly knee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So knee, I was talking about that earlier. Knee and ankle are. Naveen also says I still think knee and ankle are the most common. Um, yeah, I would say it's fair to say that knee and ankle are very common, but you often it just depends on the injury. And knee and ankle are more common in, I would say, contact injuries, but of course you could sprain them on your own. Um, but things like but normally muscle sprains are more common in non-contact injuries, I would say. Okay, moving along. 1 second. Statistically, I mean, says Naveen. I'm not sure. Let me see. I'll actually look it up. If we look at specifically football, most common injuries in football, statistically, yeah. So the 4 we just talked about are the ones that they mentioned first. So yeah, as I was saying, knee, ankle, shoulder, and they say concussions, strains and sprains, thigh contusions, groin strains. Groin strains, obviously, you don't have in a contact injury. Someone's not like, unless they smash your leg to the side, but how often does that happen? So yeah, I would say it depends on the circumstances. Statistically, I guess knee and ankle might be on the more common side. I think, but it depends. Okay, now so we talked about Jordan Love, right? And we talked about Tua, and we talked about the extremely weird situation that we had with Christian McCaffrey. Um, Now, let's finish up that 49ers Rams game. So we said Debo Samuel is out with a calf injury, right? So Debo Samuel last season, and for those of you guys who watched Receiver on Netflix, I'll actually put up that poll. How many of you have watched Receiver on Netflix? Have you So yeah, so if you're not familiar with receiver, or and you might also be familiar with quarterback if you watch receiver. So receiver followed the NFL season last season of five different four different wide receivers and one tight end. Those four wide receivers were Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo Samuel, and George Kittle. And George Kittle was the tight end. Um, so if you watch that, you might know that Debo Samuel last year he sustained a fracture to his shoulder. He sustained, I believe it was a scapula fracture, and he was out for a majority of the season last year, week to week in the later weeks of the season. Um, Out again in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was just terrible. I felt really bad that he couldn't play in the Super Bowl. And you see his reaction receiver. It's terrible. Um, to be in a Super Bowl and not be able to play. I mean, but um, yeah. So we saw Debo last season out for most of the season with a scapula fracture. Recovered during the offseason, and now he's out again with a calf injury. Um, let's take a look. So Debo Samuel, um, he sustained a calf strain. Oh, and Tony Pepperoni says, haven't seen it, but I might check it out now. Sounds good. Definitely would recommend receiver, and receiver's also definitely better than quarterback in my opinion. Much more interesting. Um, but yeah, so Debo Samuel sustains now a calf injury, calf sprain. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Good thing is it's not a major injury. I would say since he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, I would guess it's a grade 2 or a partial tear somewhere in the muscle. And I'll actually pull up a picture over here of the calf muscles so you guys can see them. Um, Let me find a good picture. So the calf is actually made up of um, two different muscles, and those are the gastrocnemius and the soleus. So the gastrocnemius lies above the soleus. So the soleus, you have the tibia and fibula, the bones in the middle, right? Soleus goes there, and the gastrocnemius right on top of it, on the outside, right there, right? So, um, so let's take a quick look at that. I can't find a good picture. Okay. Won't spend too much time on this, but do want you guys to be able to see it. Actually, we might be able to just use this right here. Um, yeah, I think we could just use that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out. Alrighty, can you guys see that? Let me know if you can see that. Okay, so the gastrocnemius is this one. So let me see if they have it. Gastroc. There, that's the gastrocnemius right there, the one highlighted in blue. So you can see that's the outer muscle of the calf. And that's what you're feeling like if you flex your calf muscle, that's what you're going to be feeling on the outside mainly. Then the gastrocnemius is on top here, and if you look on the inside, see, I actually don't know. I don't think this. I don't. This might not show the soleus. Soleus is located underneath. Oh, it actually does. Fantastic. That's the soleus right there. That one right there. Yeah. So you can see the soleus right underneath that. Gastrocnemius on the outside. So yeah. All right. So yeah, so that's a gastrocnemius, that's a soleus. The fact that he's going to be out for a couple of weeks makes me think that he has a grade 2 or partial tear to one or both of these muscles. I don't know. I don't know which because they haven't disclosed that yet. Um, but yeah. So I would say um, that would be my guess for the Debo injury, and he's probably going to be back in a few weeks. Okay, moving right along. Let's stop sharing that. Naveen says in quarterback they were following the wives more than the players. Yeah, I would agree with that. They were doing a lot of random stuff in quarterback. They were following a silly amount of the personal lives of the players. Um, in receiver they do that as well, but I would say not as much. Um, and also with quarterback they really chose very randomly. They had Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and then Marcus Mariota. I mean, you have three completely different stories, three completely different teams. I don't know what the criteria they had for choosing that was, what the criteria. Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm not totally sure, but I think receiver was much better, much more interesting. Tony Pepperoni says, "Do you do any sports betting, Vihan?" Well, sports betting is illegal in Missouri, but I do play fantasy football. I don't do pick'ems. Pick'ems are legal actually, where you pick like which team is going to win. But other than that, sports betting is illegal. So, and also I'm not even 18, so in most other states I couldn't do it anyway. So yes, the answer to that would be no, not right now, and probably won't do it for money later either. Oh, Sebastian had a comment from earlier. Trade London, Dobbins, and Shakir for Chase and Corum. I have Kyron. Drake London, J.K. Dobbins, and Shakir for Jamar Chase and Corum. Wait, who's Corum? Blake Corum. Um, I mean, Kyron is starting for the Rams, so Blake Corum is probably not going to do much. Um, yeah, I would say the fact um, that Kyron Williams is starting and he's averaging like what 2.5 yards per carry. I mean, it's terrible right now. So I would say definitely don't trade for Blake Corum. So essentially, what you're doing right now, and Keon Coleman is what most people are saying is going to be the wide receiver one there for the Bills this season, fantasy wise. So, but Shakir could be a good choice. Dobbins is great. London is great. So essentially, what you're doing is you're trading London, Dobbins, and Shakir for Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase, his performance over the past 2 weeks does not justify that trade. I don't think yet. I would keep who you have and stick with that because I think if Kirk Cousins can play well, Drake London can really have a great season. So I would say stick with Drake London, wait it out a little bit, see if Drake London starts doing well over these next couple weeks. Because we saw the Falcons put up a fantastic game-winning drive. That was really the first drive where Kirk Cousins looked really good. I mean, looked terrible in the first game, a lot better second game. Last drive, second game was great. So I would say stick with London, see if you can get something out of that. Stick with London, Dobbins, and Shakir. Don't trade them for Chase. And Blake Corum, I feel like he holds no value in fantasy with Kyron starting unless Kyron gets injured, which we're hoping he doesn't because the Rams already have enough injuries to deal with. And that is a perfect segue into going back to talk about that 49ers Rams injury report. So looking at that, I talked about Debo really quickly, really briefly. Looking at George Kittle again. George Kittle, hamstring injury. Man, I mean, I forget how many weeks is he out for? Let's see. I mean, he was doubtful, right? It says doubtful here, but looking it up, it says he's been downgraded to out. The fact that he was doubtful though, and that they weren't like immediately like, okay, he's out, probably means that it's a very minor sprain to his hamstring, so he might just be out for this week. Probably going to be limited for first few days next week, and then be back next week is my guess. It might just be a grade one, very minor sprain or minor tear to his hamstring. Um, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about the hamstrings once we get to AJ Brown. It's on my list to talk about for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are pretty upset. Drafted AJ Brown early. He did great for you first week. Out now with a hamstring injury. So Yeah, we'll hit on him right after this. Charvarius Ward, hamstring knee, doesn't look like he looks like he's gonna play, and Nick Bosa questionable with a rib injury. I mean, it's probably just a soft tissue injury, bone bruise, probably not a fracture. And even if it is, it's probably very minor. I'm gonna say that Nick Bosa will likely play, because it doesn't seem like it's anything too severe. Okay, moving to the Rams. We're going to talk about receivers first. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua. Two of the best receivers in the NFL, now both injured. Rams, completely injury ridden. Their season was looking great first week. They gave the Lions a really good fight. That was an amazing game to watch. And now it looks like they could be a bottom 10 team in the NFL because they've just lost so many of their players. Um, yeah, so actually I'll throw that up. Let me know what you guys think. What you guys think is going to happen with the Rams. Okay, so I'll go ahead and throw that up there. Um, yeah. So what do you think is going to be happening with the Rams? Do they have hope or are they done? Um, so yeah. So with Puka and Cooper out, let's go ahead and start by talking about Puka Nakua. So Puka Nakua, one of the greatest. I mean, I haven't been alive that long, obviously, but it was a great rookie season for him last year with the Rams. Um, Looked fantastic receiver, and now he is out. Right? He's out for what? 5 weeks? 7 weeks? Um, and I mean, it's hard to say when he's going to come back. Let me see what they're saying. Yeah, it says he could miss between 5 to 7 weeks. ESPN's Adam Schefter, he's their main injury report guy. So, um, let's see. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, Nakua might return week 7, Raiders versus Rams. That's probably the earliest he can return. Um, and yeah, so it's hard to say. And actually, I will say that Puka Nakua's injury though is actually very interesting because he sustained a sprain to his PCL. So if you guys remember, we were talking about that whole um, ACL, MCL, PCL, all that, right? So let's see. I don't think this Anatomy Explorer is going to have it. Posterior. Yeah, they're not. Okay, so we'll just. Yeah, okay, never mind. Um, okay, so PCL, that is on the back of. So if you look at the knee as like, let's say this mouse is my knee, okay? So, or actually, let's turn it this way. Okay, ready? So we have here, we've got the MCL coming from the tibia up here, the thigh bone, down to the um, what is it? Down to the no, sorry, the MCL coming from the femur down to the tibia. That's what I meant. Femur, thigh bone up here, down to the tibia, the bigger of the two lower leg bones, and the one on the inside. Fibula is smaller on the outside. So yeah, so you have the MCL coming here on the inside of the knee, right? And so you have the LCL over here. ACL and PCL form a crisscross kind of like that in the middle, with the ACL in front, anterior cruciate ligament, and posterior cruciate ligament. So the PCL is very rarely injured. ACL is the most common, also the most severe. MCL is also pretty common because for it to tear, you have to be stretched out. So the lower leg needs to be shoved in kind of like that, and this thing might tear, right? Um, so LCL also not. I mean, it could happen if your leg is twisted in very far like that, but the leg's ability to twist this way um, is a lot more because it retracts in a little bit naturally when it's twisted like that. So I would say LCL, ACL most common, then MCL, then LCL and PCL is kind of hard to say, but one of those. Tony Pepperoni says, it was fun catching the stream, Vihan, but I got to go. See ya, Vihan. Great stream. Thank you so much, Tony Pepperoni, for joining in. Great to have you here on the stream, and hope you're back with us next week. Have a good rest of your day, rest of your weekend. All right. So as I was saying, so the PCL in the back, very rarely injured, because for that to happen, you need this. Usually, it happens because for it to like tear. Um, Actually, you would have to shove the leg all the way up like that, right? And that is not that never happens. You might have some hyperextension of the knee, and those hyperextensions of the knee are usually so forceful into the knee like this. Like they hyperextension of the knee is basically when your knee retracts backward and this leg comes forward. As we were saying, this leg would have to come all the way up for that PCL to tear. But normally if you have a hyperextension of the knee, it only comes a little bit forward, and it's by some kind of direct force impacting the knee. And that direct force is normally enough to tear the ACL. That force strikes the ACL in the center, tears it. So usually actually sustain ACL tear rather than a PCL tear in that instance, because the force tears the ACL and the leg isn't hyperextended enough this way to actually tear the PCL. Um, so um, yeah, so PCL tear very rare. It almost, because this almost never happens. It usually will happen when you're contacted really hard in the back of the knee. And I'm actually not sure what the circumstances surrounding Puka Nakua's injury was. But do any of you guys know? If you guys know, tell me in the chat below if you watched that or if you know exactly what happened on field during his injury. But I would guess that it was some kind of contact to the back of his knee that tore that right PCL. So yeah, so interesting to see, because you normally don't see a PCL injury, and to have it happen with um, pretty um, an NFL player like that. Not every day you get to see that. So sports medicine wise, pretty cool. You see that. Player wise, not so cool. But Puka Nakua probably back in 5 to 7 weeks, as we were saying. All right, so moving on from Puka Nakua, we have Cooper Cup, ankle injury. He's going to be back. I don't know when. Let me check. Cooper Cup injury. So he looks like he's going to be back. He suffered a high ankle sprain and he'll avoid injured reserve. So that means that he's going to be back within 4 weeks. He's going to be back in probably the next 2 weeks, maybe. I would say if it's a high ankle sprain of at least like a partial tear kind of severity, you're probably back in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And so what I would say about that is um, is that the high ankle sprain, I also didn't see Cooper Cup's injury exactly, but a high ankle sprain is normally when the ligaments in the higher part of the ankle. So if you have like a foot, let's say this mouse is my foot and this pencil is the ankle. Can you guys see that? All right. So then the high ankle sprain is normally the ligaments right here at the bottom of the pencil, right? So I'll just pull up the diagram. You know what I'm doing here. I'm sillying around with you guys. I'm sillying around. I didn't mean to silly around. I'll go ahead and do this. You guys can see it better. Let me know when you guys can see see that. Alrighty. Yeah. So can everyone see that? Hoping so. All right. So let's see if we can find. Actually, I don't think they have ligaments on here, unfortunately. But I can go ahead and draw the region. So a high ankle sprain normally occurs in this region right here. You have ligaments down here, right? Like the anterior talofibular ligament, um, that's on the outside of the foot. Very often injured, especially in basketball, where the foot twists to the outside like that. Like you roll your ankle outside, you get that ATFL tear. When you roll your ankle to the inside, there's chance for deltoid ligament tear. Those are the ligaments on the inside of your foot. But if you look at the ankle specifically, a high ankle sprain normally occurs with the ligaments located in that region there. I'm gonna change the color here. This is disgusting. I don't know what we're doing here. So I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but let's see if this works better. So this, I don't know if that's better at all. Let me see if they have something better. Green. Okay, we'll try that. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That's better. So we have those high ankle sprain affects the ligaments there. And that kind of tear is pretty common in football, especially because it normally happens when you're tackled in a strange way and your whole foot kind of goes like that, where not just your ankle, but like there's force being placed upon anything above this, right? So if there's force being placed anywhere above this, everything below the magenta line that I'll draw right here, everything below that is getting twisted, right? And that's where you can have this kind of stuff happening. So non-contact injuries, high ankle sprain is not very common. Contact injuries, is pretty common. Yeah. So that's the deal with Cooper Kupp. Sustained a high ankle injury, probably grade 2 partial. There are many ligaments in that area, and so he probably sustained some kind of tear, partial tear, maybe minor tear to one or more of them, and so he'll be back in probably 2 to 3 weeks. So that's the situation with Kupp, and I think I'm gonna. I think that is the main kind of thing with the Rams right now. It's hard to say. I would say some of you might want to start Tutu Atwell, Tutu Atwell on your in your fantasy teams because he's going to be their wide receiver one right now, and so he's going to need to step up, take a role. Matt Stafford's going to be throwing the ball up to him, um, because Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both out. So I would say if you got Puka Nacua, grab him from waivers as soon as possible. Um, Either after the game. I don't know if you can do it before the game. If you're willing to do it before the game, either grab him from waivers after the game if you want to kind of see how he does this game, or just pick him up right now. Um, yeah, so that's the fantasy situation there. Oh, and of course, if you I mean, I don't know. I don't think Jordan Mason's available at anyone's fantasy league anymore. I had Christian McCaffrey on my fantasy team. He's on my IR right now, and right when I saw he was getting injured, literally 5 minutes before that Monday night game, I went in, grabbed Jordan Mason. Just an amazing play from me. I just knew exactly what I was going to do, and I executed, and I got Jordan Mason, and now he's getting me 20 points a week, and I am just really enjoying it here. So yeah, so if Jordan Mason is somehow still available in your league, which there's no way he is, I mean, someone would have picked him up already. But if he is, grab him right now. You leave my stream and you go get him. You leave my stream and you go get him. No, I'm just kidding. Don't leave. But you know what I'm saying. If he's somehow still available, you get him as soon as possible. Michael Penny says Kenneth Walker, Seattle RB, not listed as game time decision from now list. I think you were trying to say now listed as game time decision from doubtful. Yeah. We can go back and look at that game, that Dolphins Seahawks game. Actually, they did that. I think he was still out. Dolphins Seahawks. Um. Okay, can you guys see that? Let me know. Let me know if it's not working. Trying to figure out how to get the screen sharing to work a little bit more efficiently. But yeah, so um, yeah, it says a lengthy report for Seattle with Walker doubtful expects Charbonnet to get the to continue to get the majority of Seattle's carries. Um, Keep Charbonnet on your bench because Charbonnet did great last week when Walker was out. Keep Charbonnet on your bench if you have him. If you don't have him right now, go pick him up right now. Put him on your bench because if Walker does not play, he is going to be a must-start player this week in fantasy. If Walker does play, of course you bench him immediately. You keep Walker in. Um, but I mean, it's hard to say because with Kenneth Walker having an oblique injury, and an oblique injury is just an injury right here to this side of the abdomen. I can actually go ahead and show you guys that. But yeah, so I basically the point is, if Walker does not play, um, you absolutely start Zach Charbonnet. So let's go ahead over here and check out that oblique. See muscles. What? Oh, muscles of abdomen right here. Right muscle of abdomen. I actually don't know if he had an internal oblique injury or an external oblique injury, but I can. Yeah. So basically, that's the external oblique. That's the and the right internal is on the inside. I would say probably an external oblique injury, just because that's a little bit more common. Probably a minor tear or sprain somewhere in that. So that would be my guess. Um, yeah, and I would say if Walker does not play, you absolutely start Charbonnet. A little bit more tricky because they might keep him limited and have Charbonnet in I don't know. They might switch it up a little bit, but I would say Kenneth Walker is still probably going to get those third downs if he's in. So you start Kenneth Walker, and if he's in, you start Charbonnet if he's out. And that would be the dealio with that. Michael Penny again says, I've been offered Chase and Brooks for Ashan and Metcalf. Um, Chase and Brooks, Jonathan Brooks. Let me see. I okay, Jonathan Brooks first of all is a Panthers running back, right? So Panthers are so poo-poo garbage this year that I would hesitate before I started anyone on the Panthers, no matter how many fantasy points, no matter how good they are, right? So I would say Jonathan Brooks is a no-no right now. Jamar Chase isn't doing amazing right now, but he probably is going to do really well as the season goes on because the Bengals do usually take a couple weeks to get in their rhythm. For Ashan and Metcalf, I like Ashan right now. It's hard to say again because Tua is out, and because Tua is out, um, Ashan is going to be hard to get him the ball. Is going to be hard to get him as many receptions as he was getting when Tua was in. So, um, oh man, if you can ask for instead of Brooks having, yeah, I would say if you can get some other running back instead of Brooks, like offer this guy Chase and somebody else other than Brooks. Don't offer for Brooks. Brooks is a no-no right now, and then give them Ashan and Metcalf. I think. Like, do you know what other running backs they have? If you do, type in the chat below. I'll tell you what to do. I can give you my recommendation on what you should probably go for. But yeah, so I would say Chase, and if you can get another better running back off of them, and then do Ashan and Metcalf, take it. Take that deal. Counter for that. See if they take it. Um, Zach Moss. Ooh, I do not know if they'd be willing to trade Zach Moss. If they are, 100%, you take that trade. Chase and Zach Moss for Ashan and Metcalf is a win for you. Out of like no questions asked. Zach Moss is leading that Bills rushing game. Chase is probably going to do better as the season goes on. Metcalf is going to be far worse than Chase as the season goes on. Ashan's hard to say, but he's probably going to do a little better than Moss. I would say the difference between Chase and Metcalf right now is bigger than the difference between Moss and Ashan right now. So I would 100% say if you can get Chase and Moss for Ashan and Metcalf, see if they take that deal. That is going to be great for you. All right. Um, Let me know. Do you guys want to hear about any injuries? Probably gonna go for about another 30 minutes, and then call it a day. Um, but yeah, let me know if you guys want to hear about any injuries, so I prioritize those. But otherwise, I'll keep going. Um, yeah. So let me know if you guys are interested in hearing about any of those. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Do. Oh, I promised you guys I would talk about AJ Brown, right? Oh, what's the latest on T Higgins? That is actually something I had written down here. T Higgins um had a hamstring injury, like we talked about earlier, out for the first couple weeks, so probably was a partial tear somewhere in the hamstrings. And we'll talk about the hamstring in just a second when we go to AJ Brown. But T Higgins is returning this week. Gonna make his NFL debut this week. If you have him and you think that there's someone in your lineup that might be replaceable for T Higgins, go ahead and start him. Um, yeah, so T Higgins definitely can go ahead and start him if you have someone worse. But if you have like I don't know Devontae and Tyreek, and then you have Marvin Harrison Jr., keep Marvin Harrison Jr. in. Don't start T Higgins. T Higgins is coming off an injury and playing his first game of this NFL season, so it might be a little bit of a rough game for him. It's hard to say, right? Because sometimes they have an explosive game, first game coming in. But I would say, unless you have someone that's definitely worse than T Higgins and that you can start T Higgins over, probably keep him on your bench for this first game. But he is coming back, so that's good to hear. It's good to know. Yeah. So now let's. Oh, Saints 9 says Vihan. He says Vihan twice. He says Vihan thrice. Good to see you, Saints 9. Saints 9, are you a Saints fan? You seem like you're a Packers fan. Um, that's what it seems like. Just based on the way that you're. Yeah, I would say Saints 9 is a Packers fan. Saints 9 probably loves the Packers. That's my personal opinion. Um, he oh, and he also might have enjoyed the Minneapolis Miracle. All right, moving right along here. Um, moving right along here from the Minneapolis Miracle. Let's talk about AJ Brown's injury really, really quick. Michael Thomas, Saints 9 says Michael Thomas is the GOAT. Start him in fantasy. Michael Thomas will ruin you if you start him in fantasy. Um, AJ Brown, hamstring injury. He is out for the next couple weeks. That likely means he has that grade 2 partial tear that we've seen in so many people um this season. Evan Ingram, T Higgins, George Kittle all out with those grade 2 partial tear of the hamstring. And we see it again in AJ Brown. AJ Brown's probably the biggest story because it's affecting people's yeah, it's affecting other people's hamstring. No, that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say AJ Brown's probably the biggest that we've heard about because it's affecting so many people's fantasy teams. People drafted him right off the bat, and now he's out. Um, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to okay. So now um yeah, so let's talk about that AJ Brown injury. And so Saints 9 was messing around. So Saints 9 had to be put in timeout. Saints 9 will be back in a little bit, but Saints 9 um will not be back to mess around. Okay. So talking about that AJ Brown injury, hamstring injury. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hamstrings because I promised you guys I would do that on multiple occasions and I still haven't done it. So now we're gonna do it. Um, yeah, let me move over there. All right. Let me know if you guys can see that. Michael Penny says start Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. Start Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. Ah, that's hard. Kyler Murray will either have a fantastic game or a terrible game. Jalen Hurts will have a consistent 20-point game. You want to gamble? Go Kyler Murray. You don't want to gamble? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to be the more consistent one, which I usually wouldn't say, but that's my prediction that Jalen Hurts will likely get you 20, 23 points. Kyler Murray will either get you like 10 or 12, or he will get you like 40. Okay, so whichever one you want to gamble, don't want to gamble, you think you have the space to do that, you can go for Kyler Murray. Otherwise, I would stick with Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is likely going to be the better of the two long term. So if you're thinking about trading, Kyler Murray should be on your trading block a little bit more, especially if he has yeah. I mean, Cardinals offense is great, but as soon as AJ Brown comes back, that Eagles offense is going to look good again. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look right over here at the hamstrings, right? So, here's what we're going to do. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. So, if we go to the hamstrings are made up of 3 different muscles. Okay, so those 3 muscles are the biceps femoris, the semimembranosus, and the semitendinosus. Okay, yeah, kind of weird. Biceps femoris, semimembranosus, semitendinosus. Let me see if I can find them over here. Biceps femoris, muscles of right thigh. Great. Yes, right biceps femoris. There you go. That's the biceps femoris there. Then you guys can see the semitendinosus, right semitendinosus. You saw that get highlighted there. That's the semitendinosus. And then, of course, we have the semimembranosus. That is the third of those 3 main hamstring muscles. So you can see them all right there. You've got, I'll go ahead and write them out right here, actually. So you've got, oh, shoot, went back to it, silly. Gotta make it green so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about here. So you got the biceps. Actually, I'm not going to write it like that. Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm going to go ahead and say like this. So you got your biceps femoris here. You got the tendinosis here, semitendinosis there. Semitendinosus, I'll write ST for semitendinosus. And then this one in there is a semimembranosus. Yeah. So biceps femoris, that's an F, by the way. Sorry, I'm trying to write with a mouse. Okay, there we go. So biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus. And if you're curious, the biceps femoris is the biggest out of the 3 of these, and the semimembranosus is the smallest, I believe. It might be the semitendinosus. I think it's the semimembranosus. Saints Knight says, "Am I unbanned?" He also says yes. Um, he's very happy that he was unbanned, but I'm a ruthless dictator upon my live stream. And if you mess around, Saints 9, no more for you. No, I'm kidding, but still, don't mess around. Alrighty. So we got our boom, 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 biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and those are your 3 main hamstrings there. And so Cooper Kupp, since he's out for a couple weeks, he likely sustained some kind of grade 2 partial tear to one or more of those 3 muscles. 1 second. All right, I'm back. So Michael Penny says, with Brown out, who gets a share of receptions, Smith or Barkley? Probably going to be split. Both are must starts this week. Both are must starts. Devontae Smith is going to be gonna have a good week. Barkley's going to have a good week. Saints defense is not looking bad. It's looking pretty good actually. But Eagles offense is also pretty good. And so I would say Devontae Smith will likely get the more of the share of receptions just because he's a wide receiver. You might have a couple more screen passes to Barkley, probably because AJ Brown is out and because you can't use that kind of deep threat angle as much. You only have Smith for that. So I would say, um, both are must starts. Smith probably gets a little bit more, but it's going to be split between them. So yeah, so that's what I would say about that. Yeah, and that's what I would say about AJ Brown. So that's the AJ Brown. Are there any specific injuries that you guys want me to talk about? Um, def- Go ahead and type them in the chat below. And actually, I'll just go ahead and put this up. Player injuries. Go ahead and put up that Q&A there. Um, if you guys have any questions about that. So let me see. All right, yeah. So, um, if you guys do, go ahead and tell me in the Q&A if you have any questions. Um, Otherwise, I'll keep going here. So we hit Jordan Love, we hit Tua, we hit T. Higgins, we hit Puka, Cooper, George, Debo. Um, we hit Kenneth Walker and the Seahawks. We hit AJ Brown. Um, oh, another note, we had CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs. Um, Naveen Chaudhry coming in with the Saints rule. Okay, Naveen Chaudhry and Saints 9. This is enough. I have had my fill of the Saints. Okay, they keep scoring. They just beat the Panthers and they beat the Cowboys. Okay, too much of the Saints right now. I've had my fill. No more Saints. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. So Minneapolis Miracle. That's all I have to say to you. Minneapolis Miracle. Okay. Anyway, what I was gonna say was CeeDee Lamb and and Trayvon Diggs are coming back from an ankle injury, and is it a knee injury for Trayvon Diggs? So that's gonna be, let's see here, Trayvon Diggs. I mean, it was very minor for both of them. CeeDee Lamb's ankle is cool. Oh, so it's not coming back from injury. My bad. They sustained some like minor stuff with that. But yeah, they're both going to be playing this upcoming week. Michael Penny says, "Is Kittle out, and if so, what injury?" Um, is Kittle out, and if so, what injury? Yes, he is. He is out with the hamstring. He's out with a partial tear of the hamstring. Probably going to be coming back in about 2 to 3 weeks. Um, okay. Naveen Chaudhry says, "Saints still rule." Saints still rule. Okay, I got it. Don't worry about that. Um, Pop him in timeout for a minute. Okay. So, AJ Brown, done talking about that. CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs, cool. Remember, if you guys have any other requests, please, please, please go ahead and put them in that Q&A. Yeah. So we've got Joe Mixon as well. Joe Mixon, having the ankle injury there. Now, the Joe Mixon. Oh, sorry. And also, guys, as we come into close on these last 15 minutes here for the stream, go ahead and get as many other people on the stream as you can, that you can as possible. Tell your family, your friends, everyone, just join it up for the last 50 minutes. See if they can get on to finish this, to finish up this stream. Saints 9 says, talk about CMC. Saints 9, I talked about CMC at the beginning. Saints 9, you came in late and you started up with your Saints. Do you realize what kind of message you are portraying here? Do you realize you came in late? That's like coming into class late and asking the professor, "What did we talk about the first part of the class?" This is inappropriate. And then you start telling them that, like, let's say the professor is a Packers fan and you're a Saints fan, and then you start talking about the Saints, just hypothetically. I mean, I don't know what you're doing over here. Okay, you know what? This is inappropriate behavior, Saints 9. Okay, you do want me to talk about CMC again, please? I'm begging. Okay, first of all, you can rewind to the beginning, but second of all, fine, I will do so because I did say you guys can ask for whatever player injuries you want. Didn't specify that they have to be things that we haven't already talked about. So I will go ahead and briefly talk about CMC again. So CMC, the situation was like craziness. It's totally strange, totally weird. Um, I don't know. So first of all, he's okay, right? So he's placed on IR on September 14th. That's exactly 1 week prior to today. That was last Saturday, right? So a day before the Sunday of week 2. But they knew that he was injured well before the season even started. And to the media, what did they say? They said CMC is 100% going to play week 1. They said CMC was going to play week 1, knew that he was going to be out well before the season. How do we know that they know that? Because Jordan Mason, who was the backup for CMC, was told that he was going to be playing, I think 4 days before the game started. So they knew he was going to they knew that CMC was not going to play at least 4 days before the 49ers first game on Monday Night Football. Um, that was on what day was that? Was that September? That was September 9th. Oh, okay. So September 9th um is when they wait, no. Yeah. No, I don't know what I'm thinking. So it was September 9th, right? September 9th, 49ers played the Jets. Jordan Mason starts. Jordan Mason does great, but CMC isn't there. And they knew that CMC wouldn't be playing well before the season, and I think that violate. I believe that the NFL rules are that if you know that a player is going to be injured, you need to rule them out. You need to say that like at least a day before, unless you declare them as a game time decision, which the 49ers did not. I believe that that is the regulation. And so the NFL is looking into it right now because the 49ers mismanaged this whole situation. Jordan Love was very angry because he was told that he was going to start well before, but the 49ers were like pulling random stuff. They didn't say that CMC was going to be out until 1 hour before the game. And 1 hour, 10 minutes before the game, I went into my fantasy league, got Jordan Mason. Amazing for me. But right now, CMC is on my IR. Um, so yeah, so that's the CMC predicament. He's out with a calf ankle injury. He's on IR right now. Going to be out for four weeks. Probably sustained some kind of like pretty severe injury. It might have been a grade 3 injury even somewhere. Actually, probably not. Probably not a full tear. That um to any of the ligaments or the muscle, because in a lot of cases that can require surgery. But I would say most likely he most likely he's going to be out for a good amount of time, like 4 to 6 weeks. Um, yeah, so that's the CMC thing. Saints Nine says after this, talk about Mr. Jefferson. So we know that on the Vikings, Jordan Addison is out right now. I forget what he's out with. Actually, let me take a look right now. So Jordan Addison, we know that Jordan Addison's out. He's been out. He's ruled out again this week against the Texans. Um, and let's see here. What injury does he have? So Jordan Addison injury. He is out with. Okay, you know what? I've had enough of that silly thing. Here, I'm gonna let you guys be able to see this as well. Devonte Adams or Bub means. I don't know what that means. And go over there. So let me know if you guys can see my screen. Let me know if you guys can see this. All right, yeah. So you can see it. Okay, cool. Um, let's see. Vikings, Texans at Vikings. Uh, yeah. So Vikings, we have Jordan Addison out with an ankle injury. That's it. Been out for a couple weeks with an ankle injury. Um, I would guess that because it wasn't sustained in game, or what was it sustained in game? I actually don't remember. If it was sustained in game, as I was saying earlier, it's likely going to be a high ankle sprain. If it was not, it's likely going to be either a deltoid ligament sprain or more likely is going to be an ATFL or some kind of outer ligament, um, ligament on the outer side of the foot sprain. Um, so Jordan Addison's probably going to be out for and probably maximum another week because he sustained this in week 1. So yeah, and then Saints I was asking specifically about Justin Jefferson, Mr. Jefferson there, and to that I would say Justin Jefferson is coming back this week. Not any kind of a major injury, just sustained a little minor thing to his quad last week, so he should be okay. Um, all right. Saints 9 also asks, who is Jordan Love? Saints 9, you have the audacity to come in here with your silly Saints 1.5 hour late and then start trash talking the Packers. Jordan Love is the future Lombardi Trophy winner and beater of the Saints this week. Um, Saints 9, is he a fourth string? Yeah, Michael Thomas is a fourth string. And he always has been because he's garbage. Okay. So let me check. So we just talked about the Vikings, right? Also, one important note on the Texans: Joe Mixon's out. Joe Mixon's out. Um, and since Joe Mixon is out, with that ankle injury that he sustained last week, he sustained it a couple plays into the game. I think it was probably a grade 2 high ankle injury. Going to be out for a couple weeks. Say Nine says no. Say Nine says love. Love? Oh, is love in the air? I don't know. It's not Christmas time. Okay. It would actually be Christmas isn't. I don't know. I don't know what they say. What the saying is. Say Nine saying weird things out here. Let's see. Joe Mixon out with the ankle injury. Yeah, and then the thing I wanted to see was, is Damian Pierce playing this week? Because I'm pretty sure he was downgraded to out. Damian Pierce is going to be out this week with a hamstring injury as well. Oh, so many hamstring injuries, man. You have now Damian Pierce. Now we had AJ Brown, Evan Ingram, T Higgins now returning from an ankle injury. George Kittle with a hamstring injury. Crazy amount of hamstring injuries this week. But yeah, so Damian Pierce is going to be out. Joe Mixon is going to be out, and that means that Cam Akers is going to be starting here this week versus the Texans. So if you got Cam Akers, maybe you want to start him. But I would say that because the Texans are playing the Vikings, which are pretty good offense, they've shown themselves to be a pretty good offense. You're gonna want to if you're probably going to want to bench Cam Akers because CJ Stroud is going to resort a little bit more to the throwing game, throwing it up to Nico Collins, to Stephon Diggs, to Tank Dell. Going to be getting those receptions out of them. So I would say Cam Akers might look appealing, especially because he was the starter for the Rams 2 years ago, and but like I would keep him on your bench if you have someone better for sure, for sure. If you don't have anyone better, maybe start Cam Akers because Cam Akers is going to be starting this week. But if you do have someone better, keep him on your bench because I feel like the Texans are going to be resorting a little bit more to the throwing game with CJ Stroud. Um, all right. So that's Joe Mixon. Um, so let me know. Did you guys say anything in the Q&A? Anything that you wanted me to talk about in particular? Doesn't look like it. So, 1 second. Only got a couple viewers on right now. Um, if you guys have any questions or any comments, go ahead and chat them so I can hear what you guys have to say. Um, so I think we'll go ahead and finish it up by oh, another important note. Justin Herbert is out again. Once again, Justin Herbert is out with a high ankle sprain. So yeah, Chargers. Man, I feel bad for Herbert and the Chargers. They've been dealing with some serious issues over the past couple of years. Um, but now you got Jim Harbaugh. Hopefully, it could be a better season. Hopefully, Herbert's now not out for too long. So I think that's the situation with Herbert. I think I'll go ahead and end by talking about the Bears. We got Keenan Allen out. Keenan Allen out. Bears versus Colts here. Um, it was he's got a heel injury. It's a personal injury, meaning that he did not disclose exactly what's going on with his heel. The fact that he's been out for a couple weeks now likely indicates the fact that indicates the fact that that he is likely dealing with either. So I'll go ahead and pull up the map again for you guys. Hold on. So he is dealing with either. Man, I don't know how to. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So Keenan Allen is. Oh shoot. Let me see if you. Let me know if you guys can see that. Might have gone black, but let me know if you guys can see that. It should pull up in just a second. There we go. Okay. Did it work? Let me know if it worked in the chat, if it's not working for you. Okay. So Keenan Allen, dealing with some heel issues, right? So if we go over here and look at the heel, first things first, he could be dealing with some kind of minor calcaneus fracture. The calcaneus is the heel bone. You can see right here is the left calcaneus. Just looking at the left foot, you can kind of see it's outlined in blue there. Um, so yeah, so he could either be dealing with some kind of calcaneus fracture. Another option would be some kind of soft tissue injury, and there is an area underneath the heel, um, which it has kind of an interesting name. Um, make sure that I 1 second. Yeah, that's what it's called. So it's called the heel fat pad. So the heel fat pad is the area underneath the heel. It's a tissue underneath the heel, probably in this space that you can see right here. I'll go ahead and highlight that in the green. Um, Probably right here. You got your heel fat pad injury. So it's mainly made up of fatty adipose tissue, um, and that's going to kind of help cushion the heel a little bit. So he either probably has a bone bruise, which is going to be like, so a bruise is the rupture of blood vessels, right? It's rupture of blood vessels under the skin. That's what a bruise is. That's why it looks blue. Um, Looks like it has that purplish bluish hue to it from the outside. So so he either has a minor calcaneus fracture. That's probably going to be the most severe case. He could also have a calcaneus bone bruise, or he has some kind of soft tissue injury to something in this heel fat pad over here. So those are going to be my three options. Those are going to be my thoughts about Keenan Allen's injury. If you look at the Keenan Allen injury from a fantasy perspective, you want to you don't want to start anyone on the Bears this week. Caleb Williams has not thrown a touchdown this season. Keenan Allen was his number one target. Or no, he was sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Keenan Allen was the number two target after DJ Moore. And DJ Moore is I don't know what he's doing. So if you don't have DJ Moore, you don't start anyone on the Bears this week. And even if you do have DJ Moore, it's risky. I mean, Caleb Williams has not proven himself yet, and I would never start anyone on fantasy unless they've truly proven themselves. So I would not start DJ Moore this week. I mean, but you could, and I definitely would not start Romeo Dunsi or Darnell Mooney this week. So I would probably stay away from the Bears if you can. If you can't, try and start DJ Moore. Otherwise, probably no one. Probably you want to bench all of them. Yeah, so that's the Keenan Allen injury. That's the Bear situation, and that is pretty much everything. That's pretty much the gist of our injury report here for week 3. Um, so yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. I think we're gonna go ahead and end it here. If you have any last minute questions, type them in the chat. Sorry, in the chat. Let me move it over here. Let me. Yeah, there we go. In the chat box. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's gonna work for you, right? So pop in the chat. Type them in the chat there. If you have any last minute questions, I'll go ahead and wait a couple seconds. All right. If no one has any questions, I will go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in to our first live stream here on the Sports Medicine channel. It's been a blast. NFL Week 3 injury report. Hope you guys have some good advice for your fantasy teams. Hope you guys got some good advice for your for the injury. Hope you guys learned a little something too. And I'll see you here next week. Have a great rest of your weekend.